Well, hello, slingers. Welcome back to another Wordslinger Podcast. I'm happy to have you here. We're going to talk about scams, so stick around. See you on the other side.
It's the Wordslinger Podcast, where story matters. Build your brand, write your book, redefine who you are. It's all about the story here. What's yours? Now, here's the guy who invented Pants Optional, Kevin Tomlinson, the Wordslinger.
Wordslinger.
Well, I am Kevin Tomlinson. I'm the real Kevin Tomlinson, the Wordslinger, the actual Wordslinger. Don't fall for imitations or duplications. I'm your guy, and I'm here for you. And this week, I wanted to talk to you about something because we just recorded, just 5 minutes ago, we recorded the Writers Inc. podcast, and there was a story, and I can pull it up and kind of reference it. But there was a story about a scam going around right now. Let's see, predatory opt-outs. This story, nope, that's the wrong. Yeah, that's one of them. And it was about a law firm called Claims Hero that is trying to get people to drop out of the Anthropic copyright settlement. There are other stories. We covered a text from David Morrell on, or not text, but a tweet, an X'd something about a company setting up a scam, and they replicated an existing publisher, set up a fake site, had AI staff members and things, and charged huge upfront fees, and to take advantage of authors who are out looking for ways to crack into the business. I immediately forwarded that to my mother-in-law because I love my mother-in-law, but she's a new and fledgling author who is kind of struggling to get her toehold in the business, and so that makes you susceptible to little scams like this, especially if the price point isn't so outrageous that you feel it could be justified. So here's the thing, full disclosure, years and years and years ago, I fell for one of these scams back in the days where, it was less about the internet back then, but it was, there was a ad in a magazine, and I sent off for some information, and I had a book, and, they said, well, look, we love the concept, send us the book. We sent the book. And they said, well, this is an amazing book. We think this could really be a hit. So, we're going to put this in front of our editorial staff and do some developmental editing. Now, of course, that costs some money. But, this is the way to get your book into shape. And this will make it ready for us to put into our reading pool for publishers and agents to read it. And then we'll represent you. And so it was a whole thing. So I went through that whole process, spent a couple of $1,000s, only to find out eventually that, it was going nowhere and it was a scam. I am not one who is susceptible to scams, but even I get stardust in my eyes, from time to time, especially back then. I'm a little more jaded now. My soul has been appropriately crushed and therefore is less susceptible to scams, but at least I like to think. Some of these get really elaborate, and AI is just making this a plague. I remember a couple of years ago, gosh, I'm going to say it was probably almost 10 years ago now, but I had been, I don't know where that came from. I had inadvertently, I'd gotten paid a stock option when I left a role at a company, and they paid out, and I had requested that they withhold taxes, and so I foolishly just assumed that they had done that. But turns out they had not, and so that was my very first audit. So I ended up having to pay a pretty significant chunk of money on some money that I'd made from the stock option. Well, all this stuff ends up becoming public information. When you owe money to the IRS, It may not give the particulars of what you owe. I think that it does, though. But it does alert. There is something floating around out there that says that you owe money. Apparently, because I started getting all kinds of like calls and letters and things. We'll help settle your IRS debt. And I got one call, and it actually came across on my caller ID as Internal Revenue Service. And so I picked up, and I'm talking to them, and the person I'm talking to has an accent, but I figure, well, America's a melting pot. Could be a legitimate IRS agent. And they were saying, you're behind, you need to catch up, et cetera, et cetera. I'm like, I don't understand. I mean, I just made a payment. They said, well, you owe X amount. And I'm like, well, that's a different amount than what I owe. And they were talking about, garnishing my wages and all kinds of things if I didn't make a payment. And it just sort of, I sort of in a panic because I was being weighed down by the whole thing in the first place. I mean, it was very soul crushing to go through this. And it was a significant amount of money. At the time, my books were not making a great deal of money. I didn't have another source of revenue per se. So, this was something I was having to deal with. And so I fell for it for a moment. And I think that highlights, and eventually I realized, oh, wait a minute. The reason they don't have the right number, and the reason they're saying things that aren't true, and frankly, the reason that they are speak in such a strong Eastern accent is because this is a scam. And so I caught on. Thankfully, I had not given them my Social Security number or anything. I had not agreed to buy any Walmart gift cards, any of the things that they tended to do back then. I had that happen. I had another one very similar happen with my student loans. The company called posing as they chose a name for their company that sounded very much like the federal student loan program or something like that, and they got me. They strung me along for a while. So I guess I'm potentially a little more susceptible to these things than I'd like to admit, but I always end up realizing it sort of partway through the conversation. I think the thing that happens with these scams is, one, they're going to prey on either a dream or a fear, right? And if any public information they can find about you, they're going to leverage. And the idea is either they want to offer you something, and something that they don't have to produce right up front, but that you desperately want. So they're going to, especially hit on you if you have a strong need. So, for example, if you've been audited and it's public record, and you owe a significant amount of money, they're going to try to offer you ways to not have to pay that money. And you're going to want to with every fiber of your being, you're going to want to not have to pay that money. And so you will suspend your disbelief in exchange for this fiction. So that's a key. As a storyteller, the suspension of disbelief is something I rely on, because as readers come to me, as anyone who comes to me, I'm telling you a story, and I need you to suspend your doubt long enough to buy into the story, so that I can sell you that story and sell you the outcome of that story. It's the exact same thing with a scam. They are telling you a story, and the idea is to get you to suspend your disbelief long enough that they can sell you the outcome. They're going to tell you the outcome is this golden egg that you want, this golden goose that you want, but the real outcome is that you are the golden goose and they want your eggs. So I'm probably not telling you anything you don't know, but it's worth hearing this, because it's worth reminding ourselves over and over again, because we need to be aware, especially now with AI kind of stepping up and making this even more treacherous for us all. You've got scenarios out there where people are cloning someone's voice from social media calling their parents and claiming that they've been kidnapped and they need a ransom to be paid or they're going to be murdered. And it is in their voice. It has emotional stressors. The AI can actually answer questions and interact with the caller. So your mother gets a call from you saying, I've been kidnapped. They want $20,000 by the end of the day or they're going to kill me. And your mother says, seriously, tell me this is real. And your voice will respond with, yes, Mom, it's totally real. And it will be your voice. And don't think it's just limited to that. They can do this now with video. JD brought up an example on Writers Inc. that, there's these tools now that will let people do Zoom calls with a completely AI-generated avatar and voice. This is Mission Impossible level stuff. 20 years ago, this was science fiction, and today I can do it for about $10 in apps and software online. So, how do we protect ourselves from things like this? I mean, first of all, healthy skepticism is never a bad thing. I think you should always, the old adage used to be, beware of Greeks bearing gifts. If someone comes to you offering you something with no apparent cost to you, that's probably going to be a scam. If they come to you and say it's a very low cost, but your dreams can come true, that's probably going to be a scam. In the publishing world, I'm just going to say flat out, and I know there are exceptions, but it's just safer to adopt this rule, which is no one in this business has any business charging you for this stuff. They don't have any business charging you to publish the book, to distribute the book, to format the book. There's no justification for it now. I know that there are services out there that have paid versions of these things that are legitimate. One off the top of my head, PublishDrive has a thing where they'll charge you like $100 per book, and they'll distribute that book, and then you can keep 100% of your royalty. Now, I don't think PublishDrive is a scam, and I'm not saying they are. And if they're listening, they know that I don't think they're a scam, but they're kind of treading water that I think is too dangerous for us now. We can't just, even if a company has a good reputation these days, it's just better not to agree to part with your money for these things. A legitimate publisher, if they're going to take you on as a traditional publishing deal, they aren't going to charge you money. They're not going to charge you reading fees. They're not going to charge you layout fees, marketing fees, any of that. None of that. The companies that are out there like Draft2Digital and others that will distribute your book, they're not going to charge you fees to do that. They're going to take a cut of the royalty when the book sells, and that's it. They might, I don't know if Draft2Digital will ever do this. I know Chris is kind of opposed to this kind of thing, the CEO. But, there are companies out there that will offer sort of an upgrade model. And PublishDrive kind of fits this category where you can get in and you can do a royalty cut, or if you pay an amount up front, you can keep more of your royalties. I don't really see anything wrong with that. I don't see a need for it. If I can go to Draft2Digital and all I do is put my book up and wait, and they only make money if it sells, we can all win in that scenario, and there's no money out of my pocket. I prefer that as a model, but that's down to preference and taste as well. To avoid being scammed in this business, though, it is best to kind of first come in just completely doubtful of anything anybody tells you. Every single day. Every day. I mean, it used to be like once or twice a month, and now it is literally every day. I get at least one, but usually 3 or 4 emails, just glowing reviews of one of my books. I loved The Stepping Maze. What an adventure! In the Black Room, and the FBI, and they mention facts from the book. All things that they can learn from various sources online, including, by the way, pirated copies of the books. But they use an AI to generate the email, and I spotted it right away because AI right now, generative AI is it's sycophantic. It can't do anything but praise you unless you specifically ask it to do otherwise. And then the way it does otherwise is so mechanical. It's very like Mechanical Turk. These people are using these AI tools. They're going to my website using my contact form and sending me these offers to this book deserves better. It deserves more of an audience. And so they praise the book and then offer their services. They don't give me any prices. They don't give me anything, social proof of what they've done. Sometimes there's a website, but you can almost always count on the website being fake, completely AI generated 99% of the time. The other 1% of the time, it was made by some guy in his underwear in India. But they never have, if they do have any legitimate authors that you've heard of, it's very generic. Or you could potentially search for the exact phrase that's used on that site. If they've got a celebrity author who's given them a quote, you could probably search for that phrase and find it on a more legitimate site elsewhere, because they're usually scraping that stuff. So question everything. If it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. I know this is all advice you've heard before, but the real danger is that you've got these businesses, they're popping up and taking on the names of legitimate businesses and services, and they're making a tremendous effort. One of the ones we mentioned today is like, I don't know, I'm just gonna make something up, but like if it's Random House Books, they bought Random House Books Publishing.com, and they built a website identical to Random House, and they populated it with AI generated images of their author list or their personnel, their agents and editors, and they go to a lot of trouble, but it's not really a lot of trouble anymore. It used to be, if you wanted to perpetuate a fraud like that, it took sometimes days and weeks to build that out and make it look legitimate without a bunch of like Greeking or something showing up on a page, or a WordPress template that's been used a million times. Now they can literally have an AI generate the website complete and total, and all you got to do is upload it and make sure that the email addresses and phone numbers all go to whatever scam call center you're using. So how do you negotiate that? I think it's probably a good assumption to just that they're not reaching out to you. And I hate to say that, but like you're probably not being discovered. It's just probably a good default to think that way. That hurts me to say. You must know, because my whole life I've had secretly the hope that I was just going to be discovered. I remember when I was a little kid, like 6 or 7 years old, I was out in the driveway of our home out in the middle of Wild Peach, Texas. Could not be any more country than where we are. No Hollywood producer, no music magnate, nobody was going to be just casually driving by. But I would stand out in my driveway and sing and do things, do entertaining things for God and country to see, but no one else, just on the off chance that some guy from Hollywood might be driving by and spot me and say, "I like the cut of your jib, kid. Get in my car. I have candy." Or here's a contract that for your parents to sign, and you're going to make millions of dollars. I wanted to be discovered. I spent my whole life wanting to be discovered. Pro tip, you're probably not going to be discovered. The way you're discovered is you get out there and you do the work and you sweat your butt off to do it, and you bleed and you cry and you gnash your teeth and you just keep going until you are discovered by the people who are offering you money. people who buy your books or buy your music or, whatever, offer you funding for your film, and you sign contracts that protect the two of you. Get an attorney or get one of these services, oh gosh, what are they called? There's all kinds of services out there where you can sort of rent a lawyer for a few bucks. LegalShield, I think, is one of those. Some of them have LegalZoom, I think, is another one, but some of them have like monthly fees or whatever, but some don't. Some you can just say, look, I need an entertainment lawyer, and they're going to charge you $300 or $400 or whatever to get someone to look over this contract. Do that. Get a legitimate lawyer. If you can't afford a lawyer of your own, use one of these services, but you can probably afford a lawyer to look over your contract. It is worth the time and the couple of $100 it's going to take for them to look at that thing and say, this thing does not work in your best interest. This does not protect you. This does not give you anything. It's one way. It's a bad deal, but do that, and that will protect you. So I guess the lessons there are, one, you don't do any deals with anybody until there's ink on a contract, and it needs to be reciprocal. It needs to go both ways. So don't sign anything until an attorney looks at it, but don't do any deals with anybody unless there's something to sign. So look for contracts, get a lawyer to review the contract every time, and also every time. And some other tips would be, avoid anything that claims that the only way for you to be successful is if you pay them money up front, or if you commit to paying money over time. I remember when we first built this house, had a guy come around offering solar panels, and he offered, it's absolutely free to you because all you got to do is sign this contract that says when you get your tax credit at the end of the year, that comes to us. And so it's nothing out of your pocket, but we get paid because, Uncle Sam's offering these tax credits on solar, which, by the way, they don't do anymore. And they ended that before I would have gotten that. And so I would have been on the hook for $40,000. Those are scams. Even if they can somewhat be legitimized. Because that tax credit did exist, you are signing a contract, you're making an agreement, you are getting what they advertised, but the way that thing is structured, it's completely against you. And so if something goes south for you, you get raked over the coals. So that makes that a scam. So anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about. I mostly just wanted to say, if you are a writer or an artist of any kind, a musician, a painter, graphic designer, or whatever, the bad news is nobody's out to discover you. You're probably not going to be, quote, discovered by somebody. So if someone reaches out saying, I stumbled across your book and it's amazing and it deserves a better audience, just immediately put the walls up. That's probably not legitimate. Even if you look into it and find, oh, Ingram, that's a big company, or Random House, that's a real publisher. That stuff can be faked now. So if you legitimately are trying to get out there, say in the traditional world, go through the steps of finding a legitimate agent, find out who represents the authors you love, and go, start approaching them. Pick up things like, I think Writer's Market still has an agent guide, but I think it's on their website, and that's Writer's Digest had that. But there are legitimate guides for agents. You pay money for them. That's where your money needs to go. Don't give your money to somebody saying, I will format your book and build you a cover and distribute it for you, and all you have to do is agree to buy 5,000 copies or something. Those people are going to rip you off. They're going to rip you off. So just skip that whole thing. Take the money you would have given over as a dupe and put it into something legitimate. Buy your way into these guides. I think is Blacklist. I think that's for submitting your work, and it can be discovered by agents. You pay to do that. Do things like that. Don't put your money into somebody who's offering you magic beans. It's just never going to work out for you. The beanstalk, it doesn't grow. All you ever get is the giant stomping around trying to bite your head off. Anyway, it's a hot button for me. It got under my skin during the episode today, so I just wanted to talk about it and warn you off. I warned my mother-in-law about it because I always worry that she's going to get taken advantage of. These make me irate because it legitimately is singling you out because of your dream and your passion. I am, as a believer, I believe God created us to create. I think that's part of the point of our existence. And so when we go out there and we do that, it's supernatural work. It's spiritual work. We're serving God. We're serving God's children. We're serving our own soul. And so for someone to come along and take advantage of that, I mean, it just makes me irate. So I want to protect you. And here's the thing. I mean, if you want, maybe this would help. Feel free to, reach out to me. If you've gotten an offer and you're just not sure, reach out to me and I will happily advise you. I'll just tell you straight up. I'm probably going to say it's a scam. I'm probably going to tell you it's a scam. I will look into things if I'm not already aware of them. But, yeah, I'm probably going to, 99% of the time, I'm going to tell you that you shouldn't do it and that it's a scam. It's up to you whether you listen to me or not. But if you follow that rule of, always get a contract and always take that to a lawyer before you sign it, that's going to protect you a lot. And then beyond that, don't spend money on things if you don't have to. Spend money on getting a cover design if you're going to self-publish. Spend money on getting an editor if you're going to self-publish it. Go and source these things yourself, though. Use something like 99 Designs to do your covers. Use, Reedsy to help find your editor or a cover designer or any of the things that you might need. Reedsy is a dependable, trustworthy service. They do have fees, but they, I can vouch for them if that helps. But they're legitimate. They have a process for vetting these resources. So that's it. I get so mad about this stuff. So forgive me for being overly passionate. I want to see you succeed. I want to see you do the best work you can do. So get out there, create. Don't chase rainbows here. There's no pot of gold. It's all about the work. And, I get how hard this can be. Believe me, right now I'm in a season of things being a lot more difficult than I am used to them being. And so it's taking a lot more effort and energy on my part to make the same headway that I made, say, 5 years ago. But, and I'm working for discoverability as well, but I'm doing things intentionally. I'm going off and doing, I'm putting my work in front of people that I know I can trust, that I know have influence. I'm doing that. Do that. Don't. If someone emails you and says, "I loved your book, but it deserves better. It deserves more attention, and I can help get you there," and all you have to do is, pay me $10,000 or whatever ridiculousness these people are asking for. There's a broad range. Just as soon as people start asking for money, at least question it. That's a good rule. I'm not saying that every single paid service is a scam or ripoff, but it should be a screech halt, like ripping the needle off a record, long enough for you to question it. Look side eye. Figure out whether or not they're legit. They're probably not legit. And if you have questions, you can reach out to me. Go to wordslingerpodcast.com. You'll be able to reach me there. Leave a comment on the YouTube video or elsewhere. I've gotten very good at responding to YouTube comments, and so feel free to leave those. Speaking of, you should subscribe to me on YouTube if you're not already. Like, share, subscribe right here on YouTube if you're watching from here. If you're listening on the podcast, I understand. And I'm not going to shame you, but if you wouldn't mind bouncing over to YouTube and hitting that subscribe button, I'm getting really close to being able to monetize the channel, and that would be handy for me as an additional source of revenue. But I'm also kind of enjoying seeing it grow. So do that. Like, share, and subscribe. Go to wordslingerpodcast.com. And you can, of course, from there, you'll find all kinds of things about me and my work that may entertain you. But I promise none of that is a scam. And I will always try to help you avoid scams as much as possible. So all that said, thanks for tuning in. God bless you. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, week, month, year, lifetime ahead. I'll see you next time.
Wordslinger.